This episode of Now This Is Lit is brought to you by Audible. Check the link in the description to get your first Star Wars audiobook free. Everyone loves free things. Click that link. Do it. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. You're listening to Now This Is Lit, a podcast about Star Wars books, the people who make them, and the readers who just can't get enough of them. I'm your host, Meg Dowell. I use she, her pronouns. And today, Chelsea from Space Wizards Book Club is back to talk about book shopping. This is our book shopping guide if you are buying Star Wars books for yourself, for someone you like this season. This is the episode you're going to want to listen to, and there will be a companion guide in the newsletter as well. All the questions you might have about buying Star Wars books, we will do our best to answer in this episode. I hope you enjoy listening. I have an update to share with you because last time you were here,
okay,
we were talking about TikTok and other things, but among those things, we talked about TikTok, and I told you that if I ever made it onto TikTok, I would have you back and you would talk about it. Well, my update is that I'm on TikTok. And I'm not good at it. And you know what? That's great because it forces me to try things and learn things. Mostly I just spend most of my time on TikTok watching TikTok, and weirdly,
Same.
a lot of it is not Star Wars, but I kind of don't hate that.
Yeah.
So my connection is unstable. Don't tell me that.
Don't tell me that.
Oh, it's all right. It's gonna be fine. It'll all work out. Anyway, so yeah, like, you know, I've made Instagram reels before, and really TikTok is kind of the same thing. But you know what? TikTok does it better. So, and Instagram reels stopped paying. So
yeah. I mean, as you can see, TikTok is an interesting place.
yes.
I have found myself, I feel like TikTok has like educated me too about just like different book genres and readers and different communities. And honestly, the TikTok drama, specifically the book talk drama, is unmatched.
Wow.
And I as a journalist, I love a good bit of gossip and a good bit of drama. So when I hear, I watch a video that's like talking about so and so, and they're not like, they're not naming names, they're not like outright saying it. I go on a little investigations and I find what actually happened, and I find the video, and so I feel like it keeps my investigative journalist skills fresh.
Oh, I love that. It's it's just a fun, like, because I give myself like a little time in the day to like just scroll through my page or whatever, and it's nice. It's just like it's I work from home. I don't get to interact with a lot of people sometimes. Sometimes it's just nice to see other faces. But yeah, I'll keep I haven't technically actually made any original videos. I've just been taking my reels and putting them on TikTok because I haven't had time to make new ones. But like, you know what? I'm excited. I have like some ideas of things I want to make, and that's fun, to like be creatively like excited about things. So thank you, TikTok, for that, I guess. So my 16 followers can enjoy the content that I post, and I love that for me.
I was really surprised at how quickly I surpassed my like Instagram followers, because I feel like my Instagram followers are more like, I don't want to say loyal, but like more consistent.
Yeah.
And I'm more consistent on Instagram. But like TikTok, there was like a 2-week period where like I just gained a bunch of followers, and it
Wow.
wasn't clear like why that happened. Um, but I have what's really nice on TikTok is that there are like a handful of kind of like smaller, us smaller creators that are specifically talking about Star Wars books and comics, and now that the strike is over, TV, back to talking about TV shows and things like that. And I really like that because it's like we're all small creators, but we're all like mutuals, we're like friends on there.
Yeah.
And so we always make sure to like comment on each other's posts and interact and things like that. And some really interesting discussions pop up. And it's been really cool to kind of with connect with people. And I felt like with TikTok, it was not easier, but like quicker to connect with those people, since it is very like face forward,
Yeah.
like front facing.
Yeah.
Because the I think the most successful creators, a lot of them, they have their face on there and they're like talking to you. There's that like level of like being addressed and stuff.
Right.
So it was very easy to kind of like pick up on people's personalities and their vibe. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I like this person's vibe because
Yeah.
of the way they talk and things like that. Um, so that's just been kind of really interesting, like seeing that evolve and seeing like I've gotten braver with like sharing stuff on TikTok, and it's actually helped me be a better speaker and like
Mhm.
lecturer in class.
Yeah.
um so that's odd, but like it's just kind of funny.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I started podcasting. Because I would like
Mm-hmm.
go into meetings like at work, like my job, and I was like, so like I struggled so much like to like talk through this pitch that I had or whatever it was. And I was like, I need a way to
Mm-hmm.
like get better at this. And I mean, I podcast for many reasons, but like that has like I am so much better at verbally communicating my thoughts because I have to do it, not
Mm-hmm.
have to, because I choose to do it as much as I do. Yeah. So like I mean, really there's so many benefits to like creating things, but like if you're doing it for many reasons, but also like personally benefiting from it. I just said I was better at verbally communicating, and here I go not being able to speak. But uh, listen, it's late. It's fine. But yeah, like as long as like it's fun to make things that you enjoy, but also like you're gaining something from it. It's fun. I love it. And I can't wait to do it more. I just haven't had, there's
Mm-hmm.
just a lot going on and I haven't had
It
time to
is.
like really explore, experiment, I guess. But I can't wait to. It'll be fun.
Well, I'm excited you're there. I was really excited when you joined TikTok. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna follow right away.
Yay.
Um, yes.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I like when I um posted my first thing, I was like, I don't care if no one looks at it. And some people looked at it and I was like, you know what? This is fine. Like, I don't do it because I want, like, because my Instagram following, it's not going to like translate as much just because I'm better at the
Hmm.
photos in the video. Like, that's just, I have more experience doing that. But, if anyone's out there and they like it, that's fun. I like giving
Yeah.
people things that they like. That's why I do it. So yeah.
Well, it's similar to like what you and I both and I remember I told you that I was like inspired to like do a post in my own newsletter about like how to be a good Star Wars book reviewer.
Yeah.
Um and it's kind of a similar thing of like, the best advice is to just start,
Yeah.
and like based on the questions that you and I get all the time about how do you get review copies, and how do you get to interview authors and things like that, and how do you build up that following, and it's basically just you just start somewhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter your first post, your first couple posts, photos, video, whatever, writing, it doesn't have to be the best because you're gonna get better every time.
Yeah.
um you just have to start, and you never know like what you're going to learn along the way, how quickly you're going to learn it. You never know who is going to like take notice of those things. So really just start and like do it because you love it.
Yeah.
And it brings you joy, not necessarily for, you know, clout or whatever. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
I guess there's a level of clout that comes with it, but
Yeah.
like don't do it for the clout.
Right. I think like for me, and we'll move on to actually talking about the thing that we're here to talk
Yeah.
about, I promise. But is this just like how my like because I did another discussion recently where we spent like 30 minutes not talking about the actual book that we were there to talk about. And I'm like, you know what? It ended up being like I just love talking to people about books and book things. But the thing
Hmm.
for me is like when I consume like I can it's very rare that I will consume something and not want to and not feel inspired to then create something in that same um
Hmm.
area because like I started out just like watching TikTok. I'm like, what is this about? Who is here? What is everyone doing? And the answer is everything. But like I watch TikTok and I'm like, I just
Yeah, it really is.
yeah, I just feel inspired to do my own things. And that's fun. I think it's really fun to have like a source of inspiration where you're like, I want to make something like that. And like, but you can take that inspiration and then just make your own thing and have fun with that. And that's why I
Hmm.
do it. Because I think we need the fun things. Because like, you know
Yes.
how it is. We work a lot. We just have, that's just the nature of what we do. We just are constantly a lot of the time making things because we have to, not because we don't enjoy it, but because also like it's our job. So sometimes it's also fun
Yes.
to, yeah, sometimes it's fun to make things that um are are more maybe for just the enjoyment of it. You can get things out of it always, but
Exactly. Um, yeah, and at the point where, if it starts to feel like a chore, that just means maybe you need to take a break.
yeah,
Take a step back. You don't because you don't want to like force yourself to do something that you're like really not enjoying anymore.
right.
And there's no shame in like taking a step back. People do it all the time.
Oh yeah.
Um, I meant to tell you, and I don't know, I think I was just so stunned. And I didn't tell anybody except my husband, but Star Wars followed me on TikTok.
What? That's
Yeah.
amazing.
The other day, they followed me and then messaged me and they were like, hello there.
What?
I wanted to use one of my videos and they haven't done anything with it yet. So I'm like really curious to see like what they're gonna do with it because I think lately they've posted a couple videos with Charles Soule reading or like reacting to like other people's like TikTok videos talking about the High Republic. And I'm
Oh,
like, I don't think the video that they asked for is talking about the High Republic. So I'm like really curious to see what they're wanting to do with that video. Um yeah. So
that,
but I like literally sat there and I was like, is that the real Star Wars? Like, because like there's all kinds of whatever fake accounts on
right, right, right.
TikTok. But I'm like, no, I double checked. They have like whatever million followers and they have a little blue check. I'm like, and I just replied with like all caps bestie. Like that's how I replied.
That is so cool. Like, look at you, just like doing all of the amazing things.
It's like, oh my gosh, I'm getting noticed
Yes.
by mom and dad or the what is it, the swag men that
Oh, yeah, right.
love
Oh,
them.
oh, yeah. It's I love another reason I love TikTok is because like I'm just really not on Twitter that much anymore.
Hmm.
Which is so sad for a lot of reasons I don't want to get into for me. But it's just like it's so hard for me now just because of just how my algorithm is. Like I never
It's bad.
even when I'm on there, I never like my husband will be like, "Oh, did you see this Star Wars news?" And I'm like, "No, I never see anything that's relevant
Yeah.
to me anymore." So it's nice to be like in a place where like if I want Star Wars like content, it's just like there. I love it because
Yeah.
like it used to just show up for me, and now apparently it's all Taylor Swift for me right now. And like, listen, I'm
That's
not mad
fine.
about that, but
Yeah.
like I would like to see like some Star Wars things or like I I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I'm sad about it, but it's okay. It'll be fine. You know what else is going to be totally fine is the holidays and all the shopping that we're going to do.
Mhm.
And we're just going to gloss over the fact that that was the worst segue that I've ever made on the show. And yep. So why are we here today? We are here. We're here today because we love Star Wars books and talking about them. But also you and I both, because there's a reason I chose you for this episode. You and I both love to purchase and collect Star Wars books and book related things. And so I thought to
We sure
myself,
do.
I was like, what can I do? Because I knew I'm like, oh, it's like the holidays like coming up and I want to do something fun for that because I've never done that. And I'm like, what if we did a Star Wars book shopping guide? So that's what we're gonna do. Because
Mhm.
you know, you might love Star Wars books, but either because there are a couple sides to this, you could either be like, I want to buy something nice for myself, which if you're out there listening, you deserve that for sure. Especially around this time of year, get yourself something nice. Especially my rule for like getting myself gifts for the holidays is like get something that I would not normally get for myself. So like I can't just like
Mhm.
get any book. It has to be like I would not get this, you know, on a random Thursday in July, right? Can be special. But also if you know someone, if you have a friend or a relative or whatever it may be who you know like Star Wars or Star Wars related things or Star Wars books, you can get them something too if you've never done that before. We're going to kind of try to answer any questions you might have or walk you through kind of how book shopping and book collecting works online, you know, in the area around which you live. It's going to be fun because we both have like because you are so good at just like finding books and like I'll go to places, I'll go to the flea market and thrift stores and things, I never find anything and I'm like what's going on? But yeah, I think this is going to be really fun and I'm excited.
I am too. I feel like I'm not as good at finding things as other people. They're and because where I live, we don't have the like what is it, Second and Charles and like half price books
Yeah.
and there's like a couple other stores that I've like never heard of that people are like, oh, look at all these like this used bookstore. Like I have
Yeah.
like no used bookstores around me, which
Mm.
is really upsetting.
Yeah.
But whenever I have to go somewhere, a couple hours away, like I have to go to Orlando, have to go down to Sarasota or Manatee or something like that. I'll try to look up used bookstores,
Yeah.
especially in like down south, like South Florida, Sarasota, Manatee. That's where two, not one, but two Goodwill bookstores are.
Mm.
And those are like my favorite places to go because they
Oh.
always have such good stuff.
Oh, that sounds really
Um,
fun.
and so cheap, so cheap. So I love going there. Um, and then yeah, I haven't bought stuff from thrift books in a while, but thrift books is also like one of my favorites.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while since I bought something from them too, but there are a lot of because, you know, like you said, I just actually found this summer we have a used bookstore near us that I didn't know about. And then we finally because it was my birthday and I was like, I want to go here. And they had, because I was not expecting this, they had an entire like bookcase, all of Star Wars books. And I stood there for a while. And finally my husband was like, I'm gonna go look at other things because I know you're gonna be here a while. And it I had to like I took off the shelf everything I wanted and I was like, now I have to start putting stuff back because I have to have a limit or I will take all of this home, which I didn't
Hmm.
want to do for multiple reasons. One of them because I didn't want to take everything because you never know who's going to walk in and be looking for things. But I can't wait to go back there actually because um you can give them books and um
Oh,
I have a lot of because when I um when I moved in with my now husband, we merged our bookshelves, and he had Star Wars books and I had Star Wars books. And so now we have a bunch of duplicates that I don't need anymore. So I'm like, I cannot wait to take those to, and a lot of them are canon books, I think, and I didn't see a lot of them on that shelf when I went there. And so I'm like, I can't wait to like go back and be like, here are all these books that now other people can find if they come in here. I'm excited. But so there's a lot of different ways you can go about looking for the books that you might want. So you can do something like bookshop.org, which is I like it a lot because you can support your local bookstores but also get your books online. And it's about probably the same price you would pay at like Amazon, maybe a little bit more, depending on the book, but you are giving back a little bit, and I do like that. But if you are wanting to go a different route, you can do something like thrift books, which is not as expensive, depending, again, it depends on what you're looking for. But if you just search like Star Wars books just on Google or whatever and do the shopping tab thing, there are a lot of different places like where people can, sell the books that they have that they don't want anymore. If you are looking for, I didn't think of this until just now, but, and I'll link to it in the notes for this episode, but there's a Facebook group that's like specifically for trading and selling Star Wars books. And I've gotten more books than I would like to admit from that group, but that's just like people who, like, a lot of them have duplicates, or they're like changing out their paperbacks for hardcovers or whatever they might be doing, and they just for whatever reason don't want their books anymore, and they're like, I will sell these for however much whoever wants them. And you can just be like, I would like these books, and they will, you do whatever normal transaction you do, and they'll send them to you. That's how I got the entire Fate of the Jedi series that I have, because someone was like, I'm selling all 9 books for like, it was like $100 or something. And I'm like, these are all hardcovers, sir. What are you doing?
That's a steal.
It really was.
That's a steal.
It really was. So that things like that are really nice too. But yeah, because like if the thing is, if you're looking for like, again, it depends on what books you're looking for. Because if I was looking for like a Legends book, if I was specifically looking for like one that didn't have a banner, like you're not going to find that at like Barnes and Noble, because they'll have like probably like the most recent ones, and that's it. But if that's what you're looking for, you can do that. But like comic shops too will have I found books there too. Like some people will just like want to sell their really old paperbacks that they don't want anymore, which are some of my favorites, because like I love an old used book, because I'm like, this book has been places, and that makes me very happy to like hold a book that someone else has loved.
That's why I like the Goodwill bookstores too.
Yeah.
And I know that they clean their books because I watch them do it when we walk in.
Oh, that's so cool.
So you don't have to worry about like having like, a dirty used book or something like that. But like I've just scored such amazing finds at Goodwill bookstores. I so wish there was like one a little closer to me. The closest one's like an hour away.
Yeah.
But yeah, like also I did not know about that Facebook group, so now I'm gonna go find it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. It's
yes, please.
I would definitely say like be careful because if I like look at those posts too much, it's very easy to be like, yes, I would like that book that you're selling, and just they'll just like give it to you.
I feel like you and I are very similar in that obviously our collections aren't complete. You actually I think you definitely have more like Legends hardcovers than I do. But it, like you said, it really depends on what you're trying to find, because if you're talking about buying the latest release, which is the Eye of Darkness, the new High Republic book that just came out, like you're going to be able to find that anywhere. It's going to be in hardcover because it just came out. So no matter where you look, you're going to be able to find it. But if you're like, you want to collect all of the Fate of the Jedi books in hardcover, then you might have to do a little digging. You might have to go to a place like Thrift Books, or scout your local used bookstores, or use those groups like the Facebook Star Wars book trading group and things like that. Um, but it's kind of like I like that because it's like the thrill of the hunt. Like
Yeah.
there's there are so few things as satisfying as like having a book like in your mind, in your wish list, and you're like, I want this book and I want it hardcover, and but I don't want to pay that much money. Like I don't want to, like I see it go for like this much and this much, but I'm gonna wait and I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna find one that's like a decent price, a decent copy. And then you finally find it and you're like, yes, like you you feel like you accomplished something.
Yes.
Because you had patience and you waited and you have this like beautiful copy. That's what happened to me with Dark Disciple and um A New Dawn.
Ooh.
I waited so long and searched forever. Honestly, especially A New Dawn. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is about that book that you just cannot find it in hardcover for
No.
less than like, yeah, like $75.
Yeah.
And I finally found one. I mean, and also me, I don't necessarily care how pristine condition it is. A lot of my hardcover books that I've gotten from like thrift books are library copies. It doesn't
Mhm.
really bother me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And like some people, they have preferences and they want to try to find something in the best condition. But like if I find something or if someone who is selling something online is like, yeah, it's not in the best condition, like I have books, Star Wars books on my shelf that I've had for the longest time that are, just a little bit worn just because I've had them for that long. And again, like I kind of prefer that in some ways because it's like kind of like it gives your collection a little bit of like that feel of like it's personal.
yeah,
Yeah.
you don't have to be so gentle with
Right.
it. There's definitely a booming industry for special edition books right now.
Oh, yeah.
Special, with special dust jackets and sprayed edges and all that stuff. And they're beautiful books, but I have some of them and I'm like, okay, but I don't want to actually read them now because I don't
Right.
want to mess it up.
Right.
I don't want to mess up the art. It's really like a collector's item. But with with Star Wars books, like I want to read them. Now I do have some special edition Star Wars books, but they're also like I have multiple copies of them. So I
Right.
like read one copy and the other copy is the stays all pretty on the shelf.
Yeah. One's for reading and one's for displaying.
Exactly.
I yeah, I wish I wasn't this kind of person, but I am. It's for Instagram. That's what I always say. When a third copy of a book shows up and I get the look and I'm like, listen, it makes sense.
Yeah, that happened to me with Inquisitor, Rise of the Red Blade,
Mm,
because I think that's actually the book that I have the most versions of,
mhm,
like editions of, because obviously I got it sent to me by the publisher to
mhm.
review.
Yeah.
So I read that copy, and then I got was it Inkstone books? I think it was Inkstone
Yeah, it
that they
was.
did the red sprayed edges. And I was like,
Yep.
okay, I'm gonna get that. And then they were like, oh no, what was it San Diego Comic Con is
Yeah.
gonna have a special, exclusive edition. And I'm like, I need that. And
Yeah.
luckily, Mia, that we used to work with,
Yeah.
was able to give me a copy.
That's fantastic. Oh, I also have all three of those. And like it's it's hard for me because I don't currently have like as much bookshelf space as I used to. So I can't like display the special editions the way that I want to. And it's like my dream to be
Hmm.
able to like have some of them facing out. Like I love the aesthetic of that. I always have like some are facing out and some are, you know,
Yeah.
but someday, someday. you mentioned the thrill of the hunt, and I just feel like I need to tell you, one of the things that I did when I was back in not my hometown, but where my parents live now, for my wedding earlier this year, there is a bookstore. It's not a bookstore. I don't actually remember what it's technically called at the moment, but this place that we went to is an entire building just filled floor to ceiling with bookcases full of every kind of book that you could imagine. And it is so big that, first of all, you could get lost, because I actually did. Because if you're rounding all these corners or going into all these different rooms or wherever you are, there's too much. We probably went through half of it, and we were there for 3 hours.
Wow.
There's really something about, like, like, for me, it's really like, I know I'm looking to see if there is a Star Wars section or a Star Wars book. And I don't remember what I ended up finding at this particular store, but it's like, you're looking for, the Star Wars section wherever they might have them, but you're also just like, what else am I going to find? Because you just never know. And there's something about, like, because I get a lot of books online just because, like, they go on sale or whatever, and you just grab them and you go off and do whatever. But there is something very special about just not knowing what you're going to find and seeing what you're going to stumble on. It's a completely different kind of experience, because I love collecting things, but the actual, like, acquiring the thing that you weren't expecting to find, I love that. And I wish I could do it more, but it is like, you have to, like, you kind of have to, like, plan for it, especially, like, if there's not anything like close to you. But again, if that's how you want to spend your time, Saturday afternoon or whatever, like, I'm down.
Yeah, like I mean, honestly, my husband and I have done that as like date days.
Yeah.
Not date nights, but like
Yeah.
during the day, like on a Saturday, or and honestly, now that I think about it, that was how I spent my last two birthdays.
Yes.
Because my birthday fell in the middle of the week, and I had to teach and everything. So this past birthday last month, I was like, I want to go down to the Goodwill bookstores and just because we haven't been there for a while, like, literally just the thrill of, like, and the excitement of not knowing what I'm gonna find. Yeah. And I always find at least a couple things where I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I found this. I'm so excited I found this. Sometimes it's a Star Wars book, sometimes it's not a Star Wars book, but it's like a book that I may see all the time on, like, Book Talk, and it's really popular, and I'm like, I can't believe I found this book. I've been wanting to read it and things like that. And those are just, it's just so fun. And I love coming back and, like, stacking up all of the books I found, and then thinking about how much I spent, and looking at all of these books I found, and I spent maybe like $50.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that feeling is unmatched. I'm like, I can't believe I got all these books for like $50.
It's so fun. Yeah. It's like, it's one of those, like, it seems weird to call it a hobby, but it really is.
Yeah.
It really is. And it's really fun. It's really fun to do it with another person too. Because even if, like, we'll go off and look for different things. But, like, just being able to be like, oh, look what I found, or like, come look at this thing. It just makes it, like, that much more fun. That is actually, like, a pretty good, like, gift idea for someone, I think, is, like, giving them, like, here, let's go on, like, a book finding date. And just, like, it can be dangerous to let certain people loose in a bookstore or wherever you may be, but, like, give it to them as a gift. Be like, here, you get 10 minutes, go see what you can find. Don't ever do that in, like, a Barnes and Noble, though, because, like, I walked into one time, and I was left alone for 2 minutes, and I had 7 books by the time I was relocated. And that's just, I mean, like, sometimes you just got to get them,
No, I mean, I was like, as we were like talking about the like thrill of like used book hunting and things
Mhm.
like that, I'm like, how can you gift that to somebody like that that would love that?
Mm.
And I of course thought of, gift certificates. I think a lot of indie bookstores, used bookstores, they probably have some sort of like gift card, gift certificate, or something like that, especially around the
Yeah.
holidays,
Yeah.
even if they don't have it year round. Um, or even just like instead of a physical gift, just spending time with somebody.
Yeah.
I love those gifts where it's like, you may not unwrap this big box on Christmas, but like you have even like a DIY like certificate to be like, I want to take you to, the used bookstores in the area, and let's like spend the day going book shopping and, having lunch and stuff like that. I Those are some like the best like day dates that I've had with my husband, because we're like not on our phones at all.
Yeah.
Unless to use like maps or whatever. Um and we're like roaming through bookstores and, having a nice lunch somewhere that is not in our city. Like we go a little bit out of the way, maybe like an hour and a half, or if we, go over to Orlando or something like that.
Mm.
Um and you come back with like so much, and it's just so fun. And it's really it can be pretty low cost if you
Yeah.
do it right. It doesn't have to cost like hundreds of dollars, as if you would, take somebody. And I've seen videos of this, and I don't think my husband would ever do this for me, because he'd be afraid of how much I would get, of people like telling their significant other, be like, okay, you have 2 minutes to go around like a Barnes and Noble and grab as many books as you can in 2 minutes. And they come back with like a stack of books that's like almost as tall as they are. It's like 2-3 feet stack of books. I'm like,
Oh.
that is a lot.
If you gave me 2 minutes in a Barnes and Noble, I could easily spend $300. Like it would not
Exactly.
take.
Yeah.
It would not take it. Like I am. I did like I am guilty of like seeing a book that looks cool just based on like the cover or how it's placed, and I will just pick it
Hmm.
up. Which can be really fun because sometimes I found like some of my favorite books that way. But oh, I could do a lot of damage. I'm never going to be allowed to do that.
Hmm. But if you are looking to splurge, maybe do a little bit of splurging for a gift, that's also an option. Take the person you're giving the gift to a Barnes and Noble or a Books a Million, um, or whatever other kind of bigger chain bookstore, and give them like 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Just be prepared to spend a few $100s.
right.
Don't underestimate how many books they can hold.
Yeah, there's not a lot of thought that goes into it. It's just like but it's fun. Yeah, it's a really good gift idea. I'm not for any specific person who may be listening to this, I'm not hinting at anything. It sounds like a really fun gift. Yeah. Um, uh, yeah. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about if you know someone who you know loves Star Wars books, and you're like, I would like to get them some kind of gift, but you have no idea how to do that. We're going to give you some ideas of maybe things you could do because you could get them a book. And we'll talk about like other book related things you can also get if you don't want to get a book or they have this, some people have all the books and it's like, what do I do then? Well, we'll talk about that. But if you know that they like these books, but you don't, you're listening to this or reading it or whatever it may be, and you're like, I don't know what to do. We are here to help you with that. So Star Wars books are a lot, and you may not realize, if you're not in the space, how many of them there actually are. There are a lot, and it can be overwhelming. But I would recommend you start. It depends how like subtle you want to be and like how close in proximity you may be to this person. I highly recommend if you can just like taking a look at their bookshelves, kind of seeing like what's going on, because they may have, everyone's collections are different. Everyone has different preferences. Um, everyone collects different things, and some people may want more books, but they don't have very many yet, or they have only chosen certain ones. Yeah, because a bookshelf is a good indicator of like these are the kinds of things they have or they like. So do a little investigating, maybe, seeing what they got, seeing maybe like, do they want more things?
That's what I do for my older brother in particular. He's kind of the only other person in my family friends sphere that reads Star Wars books.
Mm.
And he's not to my level, and not in like a negative way, but he's not to my level where I am like reading every new book that comes out. So what I have done for birthday, Christmas past is I usually ask him. I think he kind of knows this now too at a certain point. Like he knows that I'm going to ask him like, "Hey, what Star Wars books do you want to read next?" um what are you reading right now? And especially with the newer ones, since he's not actively buying the new ones as they come out, I know that I can buy him those new ones. So I think it was last year, I got him Brotherhood and Shadow of the Sith because I knew that he didn't have those yet, and I knew he was gonna like them. And I actually think I knew that he hadn't gotten into the High Republic yet. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm getting you Light of the Jedi, and there you go. Like you're gonna start and then go with that. But it definitely is a good idea to, check out their bookshelves, and maybe ask like, their partner, spouse, parents, somebody that can maybe subtly ask those things without it being so obvious that it's coming from you, or without you having to ask like what specifically they want. But I found too that like most people, if you ask like, hey, can you send me some ideas of books that you would like, and they usually send you a handful and you can pick a couple of them. And it's still a nice surprise because they want those books and they're excited to get them. So but then you also have you have some people who maybe don't want to own that many books. And they're not like us who are like, no, I want a whole library of books. Not everybody is like that. And maybe they want to read, digitally. They want to read like ebooks, or they want audiobooks. And there are ways to make those gifts, like gift cards or whatever, seem a little more like festive as opposed to just like, handing somebody a gift card.
Right.
You can have like other little accessories or things to go with it.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, because like it really depends on, because like even I'm like running out of room, and sometimes someone like might want a book, but they're like, for the time being, make it digital because I don't have room. You never know. I love that. And another idea I had was, even if you end up like getting someone a book that maybe they already have, or that they have it but you want to still get it for them, I have a duplicate of a Star Wars book that I've kept. But the reason I've kept it is because when this person gave it to me, they wrote like a note on like the inside front cover, so like it's personalized to me, and it made it special, because despite the fact that I have the book already, when I see that version or I open it up and I read it, like it's special. It makes me feel like nice and warm and fuzzy because someone like personalized it and gave it to me. And that's a really good way to if you're thinking of someone, you're like, I know they're gonna like this book, like give them something that will like make them think of you, because it's special because it's a book, but also you gave it to them and made it more personal. I think that's a really special way to do that. I mean, if you don't want to write in the book, you can do like sticky note, but like, some people don't mind. So,
Yeah, I really like that too. And I feel like I see people personalizing books, especially like for kids,
mhm.
or for baby showers and stuff like that. Writing in there, from, Aunt so and so or whatever.
Mhm.
I've done that for my, niece and nephews.
Mhm.
So like those are always really special. And I wish I had more of those from like my childhood. I would love that.
Yeah.
Um, and especially too, if you think about like if you have a favorite book or one of your favorite books, whether it's a Star Wars book or not, and you're like, I want to share this with somebody. I know this person is really going to love this book.
Mhm.
Getting a nice copy, personalizing it, and even doing, not like a full like highlight, annotate tab thing,
Mhm.
but maybe marking a couple places in
Mhm.
there for them to find as they read to be like, oh, like I love this part here, or even just like do little notes or maybe like inside jokes or something, or like, oh, like let me know when you get to this part and we'll talk about it type of thing. Because that kind of like gives them a reason to then keep talking with you about the book, and like you can revisit the book with them like through their eyes,
Mhm.
and you know getting really excited again, be like, oh yeah, I love that part, and what did you think of this, what do you think of what this character did, and things like that. I think that'd be a really awesome gift. I have seen some creators, maybe some Etsy shops too, that offer kind of like custom, almost like personalization, like annotated books or like kits that you can use to highlight and annotate your books too.
Mhm.
And I always think those are like really good ideas because it goes beyond just like, okay, I bought a book, I wrapped it, I gave it to somebody. You're
Yeah.
putting like a little bit more like personal touch in there. And even if like I was gifted a book that maybe would not be something that I would pick up normally, or like is not my preferred genre, if someone went out of their way to like personalize it and like include those things that like showed why they love that book so much, I would definitely read it. And that would mean like so much.
Yeah. Oh, those are really good ideas. I'm getting ideas for like things I want to give people as we're talking. Um, oh, I love books so much, and I love books themselves, but also you can also get book related things that are not books. So some people
Hmm.
collect books, but also like their entire bookshelf space is kind of like, it's something that is nice to look at, but also they like to decorate it. So there are a lot of different things that you can also get someone that loves books, but if you either don't want to get them a book, or you don't know what book to get them, or you don't want to go that route, there are a lot of other things you can get too that like um a book lover will also really, really appreciate and enjoy. Um, and we can go through some of those because they're really fun. And I want all of them for myself, but
Hmm.
so you can, yeah, yeah. You can get things like mugs. I mean, you can get bookmarks, and you can get like bookmarks from pretty much anywhere, or you can do something like visit someone's Etsy shop and get some custom bookmarks. Oh.
Get some Star Wars bookish bookmarks.
There you go. I just found out, like, I think it was about a year ago, that like reading journals exist, and you can like make your own, and you can just like get a journal and like make
Yeah.
whatever. But you can also get ones that are like, pre-made, and you can like fill in like these are all the things that I've read and do all kinds of different fun things with that. And like I have one and I feel bad because I've never used it, but I've always wanted to. So you can even get something like that too, where if someone wants to like dive deeper into their reading and they want to keep track of things, and sometimes like doing that on paper is fun. I use Goodreads too much, but sometimes doing it a different way can make reading a little bit more interesting and a little bit more fun.
I wish I could get into reading journals. They look so pretty.
Yeah.
And I see people like with their reading journals and they like print out a photo of the cover and it's like color coded. And I'm like, I know I can do it, but if I get too behind, I know I would just give up. And then I don't want that because I
Yeah.
am a completionist.
Yeah.
So it will drive me insane that I am 5 books behind in my reading journal. And now I have to go back and spend a bunch of time trying to like make it perfect and make it consistent because I'm also a perfectionist. So
Yeah.
I end up just avoiding it. But I will say the reading journals out there are so pretty. And I think that would be an awesome gift to give someone, especially someone who is, you know, actively wanting to like talk about their books and like share their thoughts with of their books, whether that's like on social media or Goodreads or things like that. Like they want to give those starred reviews. They want to like keep track of the books that they're reading and like really kind of categorize them and organize them and things like that. Not everybody's like that, but like
Yeah.
I I've seen a lot of people who do that. And it helps, it helps them because it also brings them joy, even though I feel like some people see it as like homework. And it's not homework. I mean, you are
No.
kind of like doing like little book reports, doing
Yeah.
book reviews, but like some people really love that, like us. Like I love
Yeah.
doing book reports.
I have a reading journal that I've never used that I also, when I got it, I have I have like all different colored gel pens. I have highlighters. Like I was ready to go. And I just have different, like, because it's one of those things, it's like I want to do it and I know I would love doing it, but it's like I just haven't started because I'm so afraid of getting behind, like you said. It's
Hmm.
like, but they're just like, there's something about doing that. It's like I wish that I could, and I'm gonna try to make more time for doing that kind of thing because it's
Yeah.
like actually, there's like different parts of like if someone loves books, there's a lot of different parts of that process they might love. I love to read, I love to collect, but also the experience of like reflecting on a book and really like being able to think about or talk about why you enjoyed it and the things that stuck out to you. Like I feel like I don't do that enough. Even when I'm reviewing, like I'll review a book and then I'll move on. Like I want to spend more time just thinking and not like focusing on
Hmm.
like getting through my TBR because it's never going to get down to zero. I need to stop trying.
Hmm. Maybe I will ask for a reading journal for Christmas. It's
You
probably a good idea
should.
for me
You should.
because I should have it as my, maybe not New Year's resolution, because I feel like if I call it a New Year's resolution, then I won't do it.
Mm,
But as a just a reading goal, then
mm,
for the next year of my reading, I, making sure that I reflect on all of the books that I read, even if I feel like, because there are, and maybe you experience this too, but I read pretty much any and all genres. I don't really
mm,
read thrillers or westerns. So,
mm.
um, but I would probably read a thriller before I read a western. But there are some books that, and not in a negative way, but I consider them almost like junk food,
Mm,
as in they are so enjoyable to read. They're not that deep, but
mm,
they are just, and they're maybe not even relatable,
mm,
but they're just, I get so much joy out of reading them. They're very entertaining.
mm.
So when I read books like that, and I usually read them pretty quickly, um, I find myself being like done with them and being like, okay, well, what really is there to say other than this was a fun ride, And I don't want to have like pages in the reading journal with like, obviously with like my Star Wars books, I put a lot of effort into like really analyzing, the themes and things like that because I
Mhm.
do review them.
Yeah.
Um, and I'll have like a page of just like this beautifully like beautiful analysis of a Star Wars book, or like even like a nonfiction book or like a memoir that I read, and it's like so elaborate. And then I'll have like this, maybe like a cheesy romance, or like like a monster romance, and I'm like, what am I gonna say about this? other than this was fun.
You could do like quotes.
Yeah. Or
Um,
like memes,
oh
like
yeah.
jokes.
See, that's thrillers for me. Like I always thought like, oh, I don't like them, but every time I read one, I'm like, I just like I can't get enough of them. And I part of me is like, I don't want to be that person, but I am. But I think everyone has, like every reader has that genre of book for them where like
Hmm.
they might, bounce around and explore different things, but there's always that one that like if there's a new book out in this genre, I need it.
Hmm. I mean, I recently got into um billionaire romances. Like this is not something that I'm like, why me as a person? Why would I ever be interested in this? But I'm like, this is fun.
Yeah,
It is completely unrelatable at
yeah,
all.
yeah,
Like I'm not like any of these people, but
yeah,
I'm like, this is a fun story.
yeah.
It kind of because of like the nature of it, it's almost like fantastical. So, um, and it does, there are some really interesting like morals and themes and things like that in there.
Mm.
So, but I find myself being like, okay, I finished the book. I had a great time with it. I really liked this part and this part and like these characters and things like that. But I struggle with, okay, like, what am I going to say about it? Because especially with like a reading journal, I'm writing it on paper
Mhm.
and I want to write like the best that I can. I can't go back and just erase it unless
Right,
I write
right.
in pencil, I guess. um, but because when I write my reviews, I am constantly like backspace, backspace. No, that sounds dumb. Oh no, that sounds dumb. Like going back through and like editing and things like that.
Yeah.
But maybe that is just that should be a goal of mine. I will ask for a nice reading journal and maybe some nice gel pens, like you said that you have. Uh and embark on that journey for me.
Do it. And if you don't want to call it, a New Year's resolution, um, on this show, we are bringing back for the new year our Star Wars reading resolutions. So if you want to phrase it like that, that's kind of how we do it, where like you want to have specific reading goals, not to pressure yourself, but really it's to challenge yourself, right? To like kind of like
Yes.
think deeper about something. Or like one of mine this year was try to, explore more of the comics, which I kind of did. There was a lot to read this year. I tried, I really did.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, just like trying to pick a couple things that like you really want to focus on. And like because of course, like for us, we're always going to be keeping up with the new releases because that's just, an obligation that we have, but also something that we love to do. But so like, another thing that I did this year, for example, is like going back and reading more legends just because like it's something I haven't read as much of as I want to. And I did. So yeah, that can be really fun because it's just, Star Wars book related things you want to do. That can be like kind of like not homework, but a way to kind of, you know, do things maybe you wouldn't normally do if you didn't kind of push yourself to do that. So
Hmm.
yeah, stay
I
tuned
like that.
in a couple months for when we talk about what we're gonna do next year. I don't even know what mine are yet, but I
Yeah,
think
I
I'm
need
gonna
to write this
yeah.
down.
I'm gonna challenge myself to do fewer things is I think gonna be one of mine. Because I think I had 5 resolutions that I wanted to try to get to this year, and I realized like halfway through I did. Though one of my other ones was to finally listen to the Ahsoka audiobook, which I finally did because everyone kept getting mad at me that I had never listened to it. And I
It's
did.
so
It
good.
is so good. I listened to it while I was like I think cleaning the house like one Saturday afternoon. I did it. But I probably wouldn't have gotten to it if I hadn't like set that goal, right? You got to do that. All right. What are some other bookish gifts that we can get for ourselves or the people that we like?
Well, I think you can kind of combine some of these like bookish, accessories into almost like a a book lover's like basket,
Oh,
or like a little gift basket. Like you can put like a mug in there and the reading journal and some bookmarks, or if they like a certain type of coffee or tea, like a cozy drink or something like that. I know that there was like a trend this past kind of Halloween season, like the boo baskets. And my mom got me a boo basket for my birthday. It was so
Love
cute.
it.
Um, and I feel like there's one for Christmas. I don't know what they're calling it,
I
but it's
just I just saw a TikTok today that called it what it is, and now I can't remember what it's called. It's like something really cute, and I can't remember what it
like
is.
a it's not just like Christmas basket,
No,
right?
it's
Or
like, oh, what is it? Because you have your boo basket. And what's the winter one? It's really gonna bother me now because I heard it and
oh
I was
yeah,
like,
now
I
I'm gonna
love
find
that.
it.
What is it called?
But like something like that too. Like it doesn't have to be like Christmas themed, but it
Yeah.
could be kind of like cozy, bookish themed. If you really want to do, and not like just a book. Like you could put a book in there, but like you
Yeah,
could also kind of just make it a little more DIY.
I remembered what it was. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Burr basket.
Nah, that's really cute.
Really is.
Fur basket.
I love it.
But yeah, you could make somebody a burr or bookish burr basket with like cozy stuff.
There you go. Get him. I mean, even get him like a blanket. Like blankets are my thing
Hmm.
now. Apparently, I keep every time I go to Walmart, I'm like, can I get another blanket?
I have too many blankets.
It's too
I live in Florida. It's not cold here. So,
Yeah, I actually need them. I'm justified.
oh no, we don't need blankets here.
But
Um, but I love those type of like gifts, those kind of DIY
yeah,
gifts. I personally love getting them because I'm like, oh, like, you thought of me when you like saw all these little things, like you put together something that is like, it's not just like one thing. You're like,
yeah.
I know that so and so will like all these little things put together because they love books. They love reading and things like that. And
Mm.
it kind of goes all with their reading. And even if you have somebody who has like an e-reader, like a Kindle or something like that, like you could, get them like, the bookish stickers or like little accessories. Like everybody loves, you know, decorating their Kindles with stickers and things like that.
I love that. Like I never like thought of like doing that for someone, just like putting together a little thing. But I do also I love giving and getting those like very personal, like you specifically thought of me and put that item in this basket for me because
Hmm.
you knew you would love it. Like there's that just adds an extra layer of like it makes it so special. I'm gonna give that to someone because I want to.
They're fun to make too,
Yeah.
if you have, if you know somebody, even if that person doesn't really like books or something, like you can always, I feel like people really love getting like gifts within gifts.
Yeah.
It's like a basket and there's all kinds of like their favorite stuff in there.
Yeah.
It's a lot more fun of a gift than just like one big thing.
Yeah. Oh. And we spent so much of this episode talking about, things you want to get other people. Let's specifically talk about things that we may or may not get ourselves. Because I think that this is the time of year where like we all deserve to get ourselves something that we've either wanted for a while, you've had it on your wish list, or you wouldn't normally just get it for yourself at any other time of the year, but it's a special time. It's almost the end of the year and it's been rough. So we deserve nice things. And I would love for you to talk about maybe some of the Star Wars book things you might maybe get yourself because you deserve it.
I would love to get more international editions of Star
Mm.
Wars books that have different covers. So I know you follow me, but if anybody
Yeah.
else out there follows me on Instagram, will know that I have several French and Japanese editions of Star Wars books. And I got them specifically because they have different covers than what we get here in the US. So the first international editions I got, actually, I think the very first one I got was the Thrawn Ascendancy, Chaos Rising in French, which everybody knows it as Chaos Croissant, because that's what it says on the front. It's a hit every time I post about it. I love it. And I was lucky, my husband and I finally got to take our belated honeymoon to Paris, and I went into a French bookstore. They did not speak English at all, and I showed them a picture of the blue guy, and I was like, this man, do you have this man? And so I was able to get the second book from France itself. So that was a fun experience. And then I ended up buying the third one from like Amazon France, and that's how I've gotten the Japanese editions as well. So this publisher called, I think it's Gakken, I think it's Gakken. They translate Star Wars books into Japanese, and they're beautiful books. Obviously, I cannot read Japanese, but they are so pretty. And they break them up into volume 1 and volume 2, and they have art that I have never seen on any other Star Wars book, fan art, anything like that. And I love them so much. And I think the most recent book that came out from Gakken in Japanese is Out of the Shadows, the second young adult book in the High Republic. And that will probably be what I buy myself next, because I've gotten to the point where I'm like, well, obviously I'm going to get all of them that come out in Japanese.
Yeah.
They also just look really pretty on the shelf. Like, no matter if you're like displaying them like front, like the cover, or like the spines, so pretty. Yeah. And my like holy grail unicorn Star Wars book is the Czech edition of Heir to the Empire. If you have not seen the cover of this book, I highly recommend Googling it, because it is a sight to behold. It looks like I drew the cover, like a child drew the cover, and it is beautiful, and it is something that I have not been able to find to buy anywhere, but I know it's out there, and now I'm determined to find it.
I just looked it up. That is amazing. Look
Isn't
at
it?
that. Oh, I love that.
Like, I'm so curious, I'm curious about it. I think I found it first on Reddit. I just found like the Reddit thread that says the Czech cover for Heir to the Empire keeps me up at night. And I'm like, yes, it does. It keeps me up at night because I want it.
Oh, I love that. It's always good to have like that, like one or a couple books that you're like, someday I'm gonna get those.
Someday I will find
it. Oh, for me, it's like something like I don't have all of the obviously like con exclusive editions of certain Star Wars books. Like I'm thinking of the Master and Apprentice one that they had at whichever.
So pretty.
It's so pretty. And like someday, because it's not going to be cheap. That's the thing about like these, like some of these books that like you might want, is some of them are not going to be, but it's like sometimes you have to splurge, and like that's one I can't wait to have on my shelf because it's just so pretty. And like, yes, I already have the book, but like sometimes the special editions just add something special, Oh,
those con editions, I think the only one I have is Inquisitor.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I got that one, but the only other ones, they didn't have too many, but they do go for a lot of money now. Like, I'm thinking of like Thrawn Alliances. I'm like, that art, I want that art on my shelf.
Yeah.
Good
luck.
and was it Battlefront 2, I think?
Yeah.
But they go for upwards of like $200. And I'm like, a lot to spend on a book.
It is. It is. But, you know, maybe someday. But it's like because I was lucky to also get the Inquisitor one that they did this summer. And it's like that I wasn't, I didn't go to the conventions before where they had these, or I didn't know anyone who was going and like missed my chance. But it's like
Mhm.
now I'm like, oh, now I can try to make sure that like I can see if I can still get them because they're so like I am more than willing to pay like a lot of them are just like $50 when they first come out. Because they're so like it's fun. Like there are a lot of special editions now for everything, and it's too much sometimes.
Mm.
How many copies of a book do you really need? But it's so like it looks so pretty, and like sometimes you just need something like that on your shelf, you know?
It also depends on how like special they are, and like
Yeah,
how you define something being special.
right.
I had to justify my 3 copies of Inquisitor to my husband, but one of them being, I'm like, well, technically I didn't pay for this one because the publisher sent it to me, but I had to have this one too because look at the edges. But then I also had to have this one because it's a different cover. And yeah.
Well, you have to do the ones that are the different covers because a lot of the ones that they do that are the sprayed edges are technically the same cover and it's just the edges that are different. And so it's like, well,
Yeah.
if there's a different cover, I have to have that one too,
Hmm. Just like I really wish Out of Print would do more High Republic special
Oh, me
editions
too.
because those are some of the prettiest books I have on my shelf.
Yeah,
I'm so glad I was able to get those,
yeah,
and they're so pretty.
they are.
Um, I really wish I could have those, like the leather bound High Republic books that I think you have.
Yeah.
I think those were like a con exclusive.
Yeah,
Um,
they were at Celebration
mhm.
22, and that was like you had to go to the store thing and stand. I mean, we were in line for at least like 2 hours, I think.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that we got in and just went straight to where they were, and there happened to be more left. I mean, full disclosure, they were $250, but that was
Yeah.
like the one thing that I got there. Like that was the
Hmm.
one thing that I wanted. Um,
I
and was
see that
able to,
on people's shelves
yeah.
and I'm like, oh, that and the out of print Thrawn Ascendancy books. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, those are so pretty.
Yeah, I don't know how much those are going for now, but like because
It's a lot.
they only made like a certain amount of them, so like getting them now is yeah.
Honestly, they're going for the same, if not more, than like the 3 High Republic books that are leather bound.
But they're so cool though.
Yeah.
Like I like having them on my shelf just because I don't have any other books that are like that.
Hmm.
Um,
That's why I was really happy to get the French Thrawn books
mhm.
because it's the same art
Right.
that's on the out of print ones. So I'm like, at least I have the art on a
Yeah.
cover.
Yeah.
At least I have that. Because that's like my favorite art of Thrawn, like I've like ever seen.
Yeah.
So
It's so good. Oh, I am so ready for the holidays for many reasons, but one of my favorite things about it is being able, like, I'm a person who likes to give gifts more than I like getting them,
mhm.
and I can't wait to because I know my mom doesn't listen to this. I know I'm getting my mom the newest Star Wars cookbook because I always get her a cookbook, and whenever there's a Star Wars one, I like getting her those. Um, and so, ow, Jesus, I can't wait to get just like Star Wars book things for all the people that I love because it's so
Mhm.
fun. To be able to share something that I love with the people that love me. Because even if someone that I know like isn't super into Star Wars books, like the fact that I'm giving it to them because I love it so much, like it still matters, and I can't wait.
Mhm.
I love this time of year, and even if you're listening to this and it's not that time of year, it will be again at some point. And I hope that you got some good ideas out of our conversation that you are inspired to either get something for someone that you love, or get something for yourself, because again, I'll say it again, you are awesome and you deserve it. This has been so fun. Once again, we have been here just chatting it up for so long, and I love that. This is just going to be a theme now, I guess. Every time I have you on, we're just gonna
I'm fine
go.
with it.
Me too. It's great. Sometimes it's just like, that's the vibe I want to create, is like two people just sitting, chilling, talking about books. It's the show I wanted that didn't exist, so I made it, and here we are. Yeah, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you and all your Star Wars and not Star Wars things on the internet?
So you can find me, Chelsea, by the way. I don't know if I said my name before, but my name is Chelsea. And you can find me on Instagram at Space Wizards Book Club. That is also the name of my newsletter on Substack and my Etsy shop, where I have Star Wars bookmarks and some stickers. And I just added a really cool tote bag on there today.
It looks so cool.
It's very large. I ordered myself, like a tester product or whatever. And I'm like, oh, this is large. So I made sure I made smaller sizes available, because I'm like, this can hold a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're interested in getting your fellow Star Wars book lovers a bookmark or stickers or a tote, check out my shop and subscribe to my newsletter, subscribe to Meg's newsletter. Now This Is Lit newsletter. We are very similar in our writing, but I love that. And she gives me a lot of ideas of things that I would like to do too. She inspires me.
That's why we're here, to inspire each other. I love it.
You keep me on my toes, and I'm like, dang it, I should have thought of that. Now I gotta go tell her that I'm like, hey, I'm gonna do something similar.
I've definitely done the same thing to you. I'm like, listen, you just did this post, but I'm gonna do a similar post.
Yeah. I'm like, yes, go for it.
We love it. And I will link to your shop and all of those things, so people can just go find them, find the things, subscribe to the things, purchase the things, yay, all the things.
And if there's anybody out there who knows where to find the Czech edition of Heir to the Empire, please message me. Please find me and tell me where I can get it.
When you come back again, if you hear from anyone or you have found this edition, yeah. I need to hear the story. You got to tell it.
Once I find it, we will have to have a special episode, all about the Czech edition of Heir to the Empire.
I need it. I'll write it down and I will not forget. Oh
yeah, please do.
This has been so much fun, and I'm so glad that we could do this and hang out, and we're obviously going to do it again, because I want to, because I like it. I like talking to my friends about books and things. So thank you for doing this with me.
Of course, this was so fun. I love doing this too.
Now This Is Lit is part of the Faraway Fandom Network. It is produced by Devor Mondum and written, hosted, and edited by me. Jose Jimenez designed our podcast art. Keep up with the show on our Substack at starwarslitpod.substack.com and find the show wherever you get your podcasts. You can support the show through our Audible link, through subscribing to the Substack, through our affiliate links on bookshop.org. There are many ways to support, but of course, as always, the most effective way is to tell someone you know about the show. We have a lot of fun episodes planned for the end of the year over the next couple weeks, so stay tuned and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss those. For more book reviews and Star Wars book celebration, Follow Star Wars Book Reviews on Instagram and TikTok.